Hello friends, welcome to my channel and in coaching center. Today I'm going to explain you that is the 8th standard maths 5th chapter data handling. So let's come to the data handling chapter. So data handling, it deals with the process of collecting data, presenting it and getting result. So data mostly available to us in an unorganized form is called as the raw data, and group data can be presented using histogram. Histogram is a type of bar diagram where the class interval are shown on the horizontal axis and the height of the bars shows the frequency of the class interval. Next, in order to draw meaningful inferences from any data, we need to organize the data systematically. Frequency gives the number of times that a particular entry occurs. And statistics, so the science which deals with the collection, presentation, analysis, and the interpretation of numerical data is the statistics. And observation, each entry in raw material or each number in raw material we observe, and range, so the difference between the lowest and the highest observation in a given data is the range. And the array, that is the arranging the raw data in ascending or descending order of magnitude, is the array. And data can be also presented during using circle graph or pie chart you can use, and also a circle graph shows the relationship between the whole and its part. A whole circle and the part relationship the circle represents. And there are certain experiments whose outcomes have an equal chance of occurring, and a random experiment is one whose outcome cannot be predicted exactly in advance. We cannot predict the outcome, and outcome of an experiment are equally likely if each has the same chance of occurring. And frequency, the number of times a particle observation occurs in the given data, is its frequency. Next, discontinuous, so the upper limit of the class interval does not coincide with the lower limit of the next interval, next class. And the class limit, so upper class limit, the upper value of the class interval is the upper class limit, and the lower class limit is the lower value of class interval. Next, class size or width, so the difference between the upper class limit and lower class limit of a class. And the class mark, so the mid value of a class interval, class mark is equal to upper limit plus lower limit by 2. Next, graphical representation of data, pictograph, pictorial representation of data using symbols. Bar graph, a display of information using bars of a uniform width and their height proportional to the respective values. Next, double bar graph, a bar graph showing two sets of data simultaneously. It is useful for comparison of data. Next, histogram, a graphical representation of frequency distribution in the form of rectangles with the class intervals as bases and heights proportional to corresponding frequencies such that there is no gap between any successive rectangles. Next, circle graph or pie chart, we can say a pictorial representation of the numerical data in the form of sectors of a circle such that the area of each sector is proportional to the magnitude of the data represented by the sector. Next, probability, so the chance of occurring of a certain event when measured quantitatively is the probability. Next, probability of an event can be guessed by the number of outcomes that makes an event and by the total number of outcomes of the experiment. Next, experiment, an operation which can produce some well-defined outcomes. Trial, so the performance of an experiment is the trial. And random, so an experiment in which all possible outcomes are known and the exact outcome cannot be predicted in advance or before and equally liked outcomes. So certain experiment whose outcome has an equal chance of occurring is the equally likely outcomes. And event, as you know, each outcomes of an experiment or a collection of outcomes becomes an event. So chances of probability are related to real life also. We can see the chances of some probability they may give on the real life numbers, like that probability they may give. So okay friends, This was your chapter, the data handling explanation. So I think you understand this chapter. So like the video, comment on my video, and subscribe my channel and coaching center for more video. I will explain the another chapter of your 8th standard in my next video. So till then, take care. Have a nice day. Bye, my dear friends.